Hey guys, it's May May, and today we're working on our second sweatshirt for my daughter-in-laws and grandchildren. And this one is this pretty aqua blue color. This one is for Taylor. Now, I have to tell you this, if you didn't watch my first quilt video, my quilt sweatshirt video, go check it out. Here's why. I learned a lot, okay? But more than what I learned while doing it, you guys in the comments gave me such good advice, and I'm going to put that into this, and we'll see how this one turns out. And I'm going to redo the other one, but I have to get a new sweatshirt for that one, so I'm not going to redo it today. I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next one and try all those things you taught me, okay? So here's our sweatshirt. We'll move that aside. Now, to pick the block, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, but I have all three sets of these. I love these. I think they're fantastic. If you don't know what they are, they're the Quilt Builder Card Decks. They're very popular. A lot of people are using them right now. And I've had this one for a while, and I've gone through it. So I'm not going to even look in it today. I'm going to move it aside. But I want to go into one of these and find a block for this sweatshirt. Now, again, what I'm looking for is something that has movement. But I have an idea about that too, like to give it movement without being just a big square block. So I've got another idea for that. So let's just open number 2. Let's just go, we've been in 1, let's go in 2. So let me pull these out. Now listen, here's the thing about these. These are basically patterns, okay? So you're gonna notice that I'm not gonna be sharing the back side of these cards with you because that's where the pattern is, and that wouldn't be fair for me to give you somebody's pattern, right? Ooh, that one's cool. That one's a little simple. You know, I love star legs. That's interesting. Ooh, that's a lot of work. Do I love Taylor that much? I do. But I really just wanted a quick, fun project for a Saturday morning. So let's see what we can come up with here. All right. Ooh, I love this. Now that's cool. And it even kind of would work really well. I'm going to put that one in the real maybe pile. So there's a maybe pile and a real maybe pile. All right, let me flip through. So I've narrowed it down to 4 choices. This was the one I loved first, and I do think it would work really well with the pattern that, or the idea I have in mind. Although any of these would, you know, I love these star legs. I think I'm going to not do this one or this one. I'm going to go to that first one. That's the one I want to use. Although this really leans itself, what I want to do is do these like dog-eared corners. I don't know what it's called, but I'm thinking if I did something like that, there wouldn't be like a big block on the sweatshirt, not a big square. And this one leans itself to it, but this one's my favorite. So I think we're going to do this one today. Now, like I said, on the back of these, and I cannot show you, but let me do this. I can't show you the measurements because that wouldn't be fair, but I'll just do this. So what these cards will do, you'll see here that there's an A, B, C, and D. It's going to tell me in this column what I need to cut for each of those fabrics, how much I need, and then here I can pick what size I want the block to be. I think I'm going to go for a 10-inch block. I'm afraid to do a 12-inch. I'm afraid a 12-inch will just be too much. Let's look at the sweatshirt. Okay, so this is a 12-inch ruler, and 12 inches is just too big. 10 inches would be a nice full block. It would be plenty, and if I end up cutting it in a little bit, like if I mess anything up, I think it'll be good. We're going to go with that. You really could do an 8-inch block, but that's so slight. I think I'm going to do a 10-inch. We'll see what happens. All right, here's our sweatshirt. Please ignore the lint. You know that's going to happen. We'll clean all that later, but I've been testing fabrics, okay? For this quilt block, I need an A, B, C, D, okay? My A is my midtone, my B is dark, my C is light, and my D is like the centerpiece, okay? I'm going to use this layer cake. It is absolutely gorgeous. It's called Market Street. Now, here's the thing about this layer cake, okay? This is very deceiving because you think that's the colors that are all in here, and they are. But look, and I've already folded one that I decided not to use. Look at the different colors, the different pieces in here. You can't just look at the top. You have to flip through to see all these colors. Look how beautiful. And all throughout here, these colors really match. The cool thing about this particular layer cake is there's like images on the back so you can see all the patterns. You can't always do that, but you can't be fooled by that top pattern piece. I'm learning. Okay, so let me show you what I chose. My A is a mid-tone. I'm going to call this A, okay? My B is a dark tone. I'm going to call this one B. My C is my lightest tone, and I'm going to call this one C. And then my centerpiece can be whatever I want. And what I want to do is I want to cut that floral out to go in the middle. I think that'll be so pretty. Let me remind you of the block. I want that to be pretty to have that right in the center. So that's my plan. So now what I'm going to do is run off and make all my cuts, and we'll get back together. So these are my block cuts, and now I need to subcut. And the ones I need to do that to, I don't need to do it to A. B needs to be cut in half on the diagonal. C needs to be cut in quarters on the diagonal. And then D doesn't need to be cut. So I'm going to do the subcuts here. So based on the pattern, what I do now is I take all my C's and my B's, and I'm going to sew them on two corners. So I'm going to sew it on one side, and then I'm going to take another B, and I'm going to sew it on this side. Okay, and I'm going to do that to 4 units. So there it is one time, and then off to the side, I'm going to go ahead and iron before I sew the other one on, just to get that flat out of my way. I could chain piece these, but I'm trying for accuracy, and I find I do better when I don't even like pretend to rush myself. And I'm making one block, you guys. I'm not trying to make a whole quilt. So I'm going to be super slow with this process, and I'm not going to stress about that. Just going to take my time and enjoy it. Okay, so this is what we're getting. I'm going to make the other 3, and we'll get back together. Okay, so that's the only units I have to sew together before we start the next step. And what I'm going to do is just get my dog ears off and just make sure everything's tidy. I don't think I have to do a lot of squaring up or anything. But just going to get these dog ears off and tidy this up, and we'll go to the next step. What we need to do now is lay this thing out so I can see what it's supposed to look like. So here's this side. This side. This is going to be really cute. I think I'm going to like it. This one, and then the one on the other side. I'm going to look at my lines and see if I need to adjust them in any way. These feel really good. I'm going to switch these two and see if they don't match up when I do. I think that they will. Yep, check that out. So now my lines are all going the same way. I thought that would happen, but I wasn't sure. That was lucky. All right, and then these guys go in the corners. So all I need to do now, this was a quick one, you guys. All I need to do now is sew that row, and this row, and then we'll put them together. So I'm going to take this one here, sew it on that end. I'll take this one and sew it on this end. Okay. Then I'm going to turn this one into this end, this one into this end, this one into this end, and this one here. And what I'll do is go sew my 1/4 inch seam on those. I'll iron them, and I'll bring them back for you to see them before we put them all together. I'm still doing my 1/4 inch. I want to show y'all how slow I sew. So this is my throttle button, and I have it set right here. I have it set low so I can just hit my pedal and go. That works better for me, but I want you to see something. I want to show you. I got to get it going. Now I'm going to put my pedal all the way down. Now, I think that's pretty slow. I watch a lot of people like just zoom through. I don't sew that fast. And I thought I would show you because I know a lot of times you see stuff sped up. I'm not a fast sewer. And Emily at So Charming, she's so funny. She kind of makes fun of me because I'm kind of slow. But the slower I go, the more accurate my seams are. And I would rather have accurate seams. And I always sink my needle because I find I get less tangles if I sink. Matter of fact, I want to say that's something I was taught way back in the day. Like when I first started sewing, to sink your needle. All right, so here's this unit. Now I'm going to do the others. You may be watching and wondering why I don't have my 1/4 inch foot on. I really don't know why. I have this one on. I know where the 1/4 inch is on this foot, so I just went with it. But I normally would change this out for my 1/4 inch foot, the one that has the little brace, so I know I don't go over a 1/4 inch. right, so you see this? This is how we're gonna sew these together. Just in an effort for me to not have to reset my filming space, that's how we're gonna do that. So I'm gonna sew this row to this one, okay? And then I'm gonna sew this one to this one, and I think it's gonna be so pretty. I was just thinking while I was doing this, like I'm having to make all these because I don't have any quilt blocks made up. But if you've been a quilter for a while and you have like some 1s and 2s of quilt blocks made up, what a cute way to use them, right? Just put them on a sweatshirt. Okay, 1/4 inch all the way down. You guys, this might be the neatest block I've ever put together. Look at those points. That's pretty good, right? Look, I'm gonna turn it all the way around. That one's a little messy. That one's good. I'm a little shocked. Little tiny messy, but that's probably the best I've ever done. Pretty proud of that. Okay, so I told you that I didn't want to put just a big block on the sweatshirt. What I was thinking I would do is come up here and cut this at an angle so it would have that shape. So we would lose that little bit. I just think that would be prettier. Let's go to the sweatshirt and see. So here's the center of the sweatshirt roughly. And I want to show you, because I can turn these under, I want to show you what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that we put it on like this so that it's not just a big block. And then we would end up with, let me do the bottom corner so I can see it and evaluate it. We end up with something like that. I think that's very dainty. I feel like, I don't know what it is, but for some reason when it's just the full block, it just feels a little bit flat to me. So that's what we're gonna do. Let me show you how we're gonna do it. I could be wrong. This is me just trying things, but I'm just gonna take my ruler and go from corner to corner. And I don't think I need to leave like a seam allowance. Maybe I should leave a seam allowance to be safe. You know I should. See, that's where I almost messed up, because if I'm gonna sew all the way around this, then I'm gonna need that 1/4 inch here. So I'm gonna come out. That means I'm gonna need to use my cutting mat to help me here. So I'm gonna line up my corners. See, are y'all proud of me because I'm thinking ahead? I'm gonna line up my corners on my cutting mat like that. And then I'm gonna come out a 1/4 inch. All my seam allowance folks are gonna be like, look at you, look at you. All right, and I'm gonna slice that off. Okay, so now I have my seam allowance in there. Okay, so let's do this one. See, I was so proud of this block, and if I had messed it up, I'd be really sad. And I don't know, I still may have, but we'll see. Do this one the same way. I'm giving myself that little bit of leeway. Now, you remember my last video, I didn't want to use fusible web. Same here, I don't like the feel of the fusible web. So I decided to back it with fabric and turn it around and finish the edges. Well, I'm gonna do that here too. But one of you guys reminded me of a technique I forgot. So let me show you that one. Not only did you remind me of this, but you gave me another tip. And here's the other tip before I show you how we're gonna back it. The other tip was maybe put a piece of batting in so it's a little fluffier when I quilt it. I like that idea, okay? So we're gonna put this piece of batting underneath. Now I'm not gonna quilt it before I do this other part. We're just gonna do this and turn it around and then quilt it. But look what the recommendation was. Take a piece, sew it on just like I did last time, okay? So we're gonna turn this into the backer of this. But instead of leaving a gap here or here to turn it around, sew it all the way around and then cut a hole to turn it around. Brilliant. That's going to make a big difference on Jenna's when I do hers again, but we're going to do that today. So I'm going to take this to the sewing machine and I'm going to sew a 1/4 inch all the way around our block. And when I turn it, I'll come back and let you watch. So now it's probably hard to see the square because we've got it all covered up. But what I'm going to do real quick is just go around and trim these edges really close to the stitches, so that'll be easy to turn. And I won't end up with very much bulk this way. The only other thing I thought about is maybe I didn't want my batting to go all the way to the edge, but you know, I really do, because I want it to turn well. So you don't want to really, you know, treat it just like you were quilting it. You want that batting to hang out so that it can get caught in that outside stitch. It looks like I'm making a stop sign, doesn't it? If you ever need to make a stop sign, now you know how. I think just because I'm here and I don't want to come back later and do it, I'm going to come to these little corners and just take that little point off. This is probably unnecessary, but rather than have to turn it back around and do it again, let's do it while we're here. Okay, now here was the trick. We're gonna go to the center and we're gonna make sure we only have the white fabric. And I'm just looking through my window to see the sunlight through there. And so I'm going to make a slice, and I think I'll just slice it like this. Are you worried? I'm a little worried too. We'll see. This is big enough maybe. Here we can go bigger. This won't show, but this will allow me to get those edges turned around without all that work I did last time. Now we're just gonna turn this around through that hole we just made. How much easier is that than what I was doing? Isn't that funny? And I knew this. I've known about this technique. I just didn't do it. This would have been so much easier on my star points. So this is good to put into our memory for next time. All right, let's see if I even need to do any pointing with my little, I think I will. I'm gonna take this little tool and go inside and just smooth. What I like about it is it's got this back curve edge, so I can just run that in and it doesn't poke through the fabric. Now, as easy as this has been, I could do these all day long. This would be easy to make a bunch of sweatshirts. Also, cute hot pads, right? Wouldn't this be a cute hot pad situation? Wouldn't that be cute, just having on your counter to sit a hot pad or sit a hot pot on or something? But you'd want to use that other, what is it called? What is that called? Thermobrite? Is it called Thermo? I don't remember, but So Charming carries it because I have some of it, but I can't remember the name of it. But it's made for the microwave and things like that. Okay, there's one spot that's interesting to me. Look what happened here. I don't know what happened there. I may have had my seam off a little bit there, but you know what? I'll put that one on the bottom. I'm not going to redo that. All right, let's go to the iron and press it down. Now, I wouldn't do this for a hot pad, obviously, but this is not going to show because we're fixing to stitch this down to the sweatshirt. All right, I'm gonna find the center here and I'm gonna do what I did before, which is use these sleeves and not the whole sweatshirt because these sweatshirts are not very square, I have found. So I'm gonna use these pieces here to find the center. So let's see, if I go to 1 and 11, that should be close to center right there. See, that's not even straight at all, but I can tell on this neck that that's pretty close. Let me come around a little bit more. I'm going to stick a pin right here and I will put this, what I did last time was I took the sweatshirt to my design board on the wall and hung it up to make sure it felt like it was centered before I stitched it down. All right, so this is going to go something like this. It can even go a little higher this time because I don't have so much bulk on the edges here. So something like, is that too high? I don't want it right under her neck, but I don't want it too low. Let's see. I'm going to do it about 2.5 inches from the neck. This is my 2.5 inch ruler, so that should set me up pretty good. All right, let's pin this guy down. When you're pinning, make sure you're only getting the one layer. And I suggest before you pin it all the way down, take it to your design board or stand up and look over it, because if it is crooked or not centered, you'll want to adjust that real quick before you get it all pinned down. Okay, I'm not sure I would do the batting next time. I kind of feel like I'm sewing down a hot pad to a shirt. That's what it feels like right now. So I may not do the batting again next time and just let the sweatshirt be the batting. But what I'm going to do is go to the sewing machine. I'm going to do a top stitch all the way around the shape. And then I'm going to sew down here, you know, in the ditch, in every ditch. So it'll be those crossovers and then just this big square should do it all. So let's go do that. Okay, mistakes were made. The batting was a cute idea, but when I put it on the sweatshirt to pin it, it just really was super thick and it felt like I was like pinning down a pot holder to the shirt. And maybe that's because what I said, that's what it felt like, but it was too much. However, I'll say this, it may not be too much for some of you guys. Just for me and this sweatshirt, it felt like too much. I feel like the sweatshirt is puffy enough. And the more I added, it just didn't feel right. So I just turned it back around and cut the batting out all the way to the edge. There's a tiny bit left in there, but I don't think that's a big deal. Kind of gives it some body. But I do like how it turned out, and the colors are pretty. And remember where we started. This block, by the way, is called King's Crown. Isn't that beautiful? I really love how that looks, and I love this in the middle. So I will give it to Taylor, and hopefully I can get a picture of her either wearing it or She usually does pretty good photo shoots. Maybe she can send me some pics to put into the video. So I hope you enjoyed this. Hey guys, don't forget to subscribe. Thank you so much for being here. And if you enjoy my sewing content and never checked out my paper crafting content, head over to May Made It on YouTube. So we've got May Sewed It and May Made It. So you got 2 options for videos. Thanks so much for being here. And until next time, bye now.